Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and this is part 2 of the redneck build of a Indicol, or imitation Indicol, redneck Indicol, if you will. And in this particular part, we'll get the body of it shaped out and start trying to make the screw part of it. And of course, I will go to all kind of trouble to try to get out of work and create lots more work for myself. And that's the habit I got. Anyway, so, and in one part I may get a little philosophical and probably irritate some people, but that's the kind of guy I am, huh? Anyway, I don't have any particular thing on the plasma table yet. I just received some 80/20, and I'm going to start making brackets to mount that with and such. And I don't believe that I'll have an actual build video for the plasma table, because I like doing this stuff a little at a time in the background and doing what I like and ironing through the mistakes and such without having to keep up with the camera. It's hard enough as it is for poor old redneck to do anything good, you know. But anyway, and Bubba jokes, well, Kurt Cook keeps supplying me, but still I'm just a little short on Bubba jokes, so we may or may not have one at the end in the last episode. Certainly not going to have one in each of the individual parts of this. All right, so in the hope of finally getting somewhere with it, let's just go right ahead and get into the video. Squaring off the ends to make them look better. Alright, so I cut this notch right here. Forgot to wake you guys up, but we'll just zoom in on it and take a look at it, and we can pretend you saw it. There it is right there. Kind of shiny and bright, but there's the notch. Now I need to do this other notch. I got to do this one right here. He's going to be right over here. So get it positioned and get it started. Well, once again, I forgot to wake you guys up for the job, but I've cut this space out now, and I'll turn it over and cut a little space in there. I noticed they've got sort of like a little gouge in those places there where there's a high spot and high spot. There's one there, one there, one there. I may want to do that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how everything comes out. I guess my vacuum cleaner hose got too old because I broke it off vacuuming chips a while ago. Now it's just a great big hose without the little small end. I'm going to have to look around and find me another one. Alright, so there's the little spot on the back. Been sneezing, so I'm having trouble talking. Now I think I'll take the rest of the evening off to think about whether I want to make a little inlet spot here and a little inlet spot there, just to be like the real Indicol, or not. I don't know. Probably what I should do, instead of just jumping up and making those spots, is to thread this thing and make the screw to hold everything together, and then worry about that once I've got a little more progress on that. That would probably be the best move. If I put the screw in it and it holds real tight, that'll probably be a good place to stop. Alright, so after doing a lot of different things, and it's another day, we come down to this point here where we need to make this little piece here. Now that could be a nuisance, you know, because it's tiny, but it's time consuming to do something like that. So why not get something already made? I mean, this thing's less than $2 at Harbor Freight. It's got the little end on it, it's threaded. So let's see if we can take it apart. It's probably not made to take apart. Now I got the little handle out of it, and it's not going to want to thread through this way, I can tell you that. And I'd have to, it won't want to thread through this way, I can tell you that, you know, down through here. And I'd have to get this little guy right here off to go back out that way, which is, you know, they probably screwed it in and then fastened this little guy down by bending, you know, you can see where they bent the thing here, bend it down good and tight. But I'm going to try to extract it from there and use it, which means I'll just take my Dremel tool and cut this guy on both sides and let him fall off. At least I think I will. Alright, so let me get all set up for that. You guys know, of course, that I really like power tapping things because, well, because I'm lazy, and it's a lot easier to do that than get a, you know, a tap handle and turn it, turn after turn down into the, you know, into the thread. But there's one thing that power tapping does, because it's got a slip in your chuck, the numbers slip right off of that tap, you know, the little ones that say half 13 or 7/16 something another. So while I was at Harbor Freight, I got me a box to put those things in, and there was a lot of those taps that was right there already at the point where I had to figure out what they were because the writing had been rubbed off power tapping. I guess they'll wear out before anything worse comes up, but there you are. Nice little box, less than $5. Alright, Dremel tool, vise. I'm going to make a little cut across here, roll the thing over, make another little cut across it, and see if I can't bust it loose, you know. I don't know if this is probably cast steel or who knows. Anyway, even this requires some kind of eye protection, so I got on chemical goggles. Not deep enough, but we'll come back to it. We got time to do it right. And we got time to do it over too, if need be. Alright, let's cut this side a while. You know, I cut the tie rod end off a Toyota back in 1973 with this thing, or one like it. Let's see what'll happen if I abuse my screwdriver and whack it on there with this thing. It's gonna work. Look at that. It's already opening up, so all I have to do is just hang in there, keep pushing. There we are. Got a little tiny groove in some of the threads on one side. Not bad. Okay, now all I have to do is figure out what this thread is, and also I need to cut this off a little bit right here, because it's the same diameter here as the threads, and that could get in the way of screwing it into something. It matches up great with 20 threads per inch, but it's 0.299. So I'll have to see if I can figure that out. Actually, you know, there was a time maybe 3 or 4 centuries ago when it was possible to know everything. And that's not that these guys were all that much more knowledgeable than the smart guys today. It's just at that time man hadn't figured out very much, you know. So yeah, it was possible to know everything. Well, you know how intellectuals are. They tend to be easily impressed by their own intellect and their own knowledge and learning. And back then they were no different, maybe even worse, who can say. But back then they believed in the phlogiston theory. We might go into that one of these days, I don't know. But darn it, the greatest minds of the time believed in the phlogiston theory, had no idea that germs existed, and were probably fellows that you would look at now and say, well, that guy's an idiot. But we got these same guys, they're the descendants of these people right now, and they think they know everything, or everything in their field, they think. And they can be just as wrong and lacking in information as these old guys 2 or 3 centuries back. Think about that. Well, we're putting on a chuck here. It's amazing sometimes how much work I'll go to try to get out of work. But I don't want to have to make my own little, you know, dingus with on the end of a screw. I mean, I could do it like they did it, make a hole with thin sides and bend them over. But I've got started on this path, and I'm stubborn enough to try to see it through. So we're going to chuck up that little screw in there and turn down the end of it until I can make it at least the end smaller than the threads. Well, I'm going to set my tool level here with this most excellent little device here that I believe Mr. Wildman in California sent to me. And that's an interesting name, you'll have to admit, and I'm almost certain there's got to be an interesting story behind it. At least that's what I imagine. But anyway, we were talking about all these intellectuals who were impressed by this. Can you imagine you went out in a battle against the bloody Gauls or somebody, and you got disemboweled with a broadsword, and your companions, worrying about your health, hauled you in to the doctor. Yeah, if you weren't lucky, they would do that. And what's the doctor going to do with this learned man who I'm sure was just as impressed with his abilities as any doctor is today? He's going to bleed you. Yeah, that'll fix you. That'll fix you up good. But those were the learned minds of the time, the best of the best, the creme de la creme. So I kind of nowadays tend to be a bit skeptical, seeing as to how the history that they have behind them isn't really all that impressive. You know, people are really messed up, and they get so vain and think they know so much. At least us rednecks don't think we know so much. Gotta fill up my oil can. Okay, let's see if we can make this thing smaller. Possibly. Well, that's a 5/16 and it doesn't fit. Of course, this thing's 20 threads, the 5/16 I think is 18. Yeah, 5/16 18. But I think it would have almost fit. So now I got to figure out what am I going to do. Probably reduce the size of this thing, or just make the darn thing that I don't want to make. That's probably what I'm going to do. Who would get an odd size like this? Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.